Okay. We have Bob Hunter on the phone with us today. Bob is the Director of Insurance for the Consumer Federation of America down in Washington, D.C. He's also the former insurance commissioner in the state of Texas. No small state, obviously. Bob, you with us this morning?
Yes, I am.
Good.
How you doing, Frank?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time this morning. Well, I'm sure you've been watching what's been going on up in federal court in Hartford with the AIG/Gen Re trial and then the resulting convictions earlier this week of the 5 executives. And I guess what I'm wondering from a layman's perspective is, this whole case really developed as a result of then New York Attorney General Eliot Spitzer's spade work. And I guess as a former insurance regulator yourself, admittedly one of only 50 and one with, say, 1/50th of a view of the whole piece of the pie, how could something like this have actually happened? Why did it take, in some respects, an independent authority to go dig it out and begin to look at it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. I'm convinced that the market conduct examinations of the NAIC are woefully inadequate to dig out wrongdoing. They go and do a lot of bean counting, how many complaints did you have, and did you really charge the rate you had on file, and if you off by $5, you got to, fix it and pay a $10 fine or something. But they miss a lot of major events, particularly when you get into commercial insurance, where they figure the sophisticated buyer will never get duped, which obviously what Spitzer showed was not true.
Yes.
But also in auto insurance, we see what I think are clear patterns of underpayment of claims due to use of computer programs, and it appears no state has dug into that sufficiently, and I just think it's the fault of the state regulators that they didn't catch this, and I'm glad somebody caught it, and I'm sure the people who were bid rigged against were glad too. So it's good to have an independent person take a look at things once in a while. By the way, sometimes an insurance regulator has everything coming at them sort of, right at their face, coming straight at them all the time, and a lot of times a small error in year 1 can be pretty big by year 8 or something like that. So it's good to have somebody on the side taking a look, even if the person is trying to do a good job. Sometimes that job is so busy and so frenetic that it's hard to keep things on track.
Let me ask you.
Have an outside person like the AG or others looking for types of behavior that may be slipping by.
Well, it's an interesting point because, as I'm sure you read this morning in the Hartford Courant, they followed up on some rather ominous comments by Assistant U.S. Attorney Glover up in Connecticut, saying that essentially this ball game is not over, there's more to come. And of course, in just about every story over the past 5 or 6 weeks concerning the trial, there was always a paragraph mentioning Maurice Greenberg, who was an unindicted co-conspirator in the case. So the comments in the paper this morning were mainly a compendium of Mr. Glover's remarks, as well as some other reaching out to white-collar attorneys throughout the state of Connecticut saying, oh yes, it's very likely that more will follow as a result of these convictions. I guess I'm wondering, how deep could this go, understanding fully that you don't have a connection to the case and you're just an interested observer, albeit an educated one?
Well, it's interesting because guys like Greenberg were known for knowing everything that was going on in their company. That was part of why investors and all put him up on a pedestal. And now suddenly he doesn't know what's going on in this company. It's very odd. I'm sure people are going to look into those kinds of questions, and with Warren Buffett too, I suppose, who I think is a little more hands-offish than Greenberg's reputation. But so we'll have to wait and see, because like you say, I don't have any knowledge about what's going on. But I do expect they'll look in. And Spitzer, raised the question of the need for federal even involvement in certain aspects of things that he was finding that he found very troubling that he couldn't go after, like offshore issues and reinsurance issues and things like that, where he thinks there might have been more of this going on.
Well, one other interesting point.
Spitzer, in other words, was opening the door for more of that.
I should say so, yes, and I think based on the reaction that people are getting now, I think a lot more people are going to run through the door. A number of the attorney generals across the country are beginning to pick up on it. But one final point.
Well, nothing succeeds like success, you know.
That's correct.
If one attorney general gets to be governor by doing something that like this, or certainly helped him, not only this case but the other cases he brought, and so other attorneys general see that this is things that the public likes to see uncovered.
Well, we saw that back with the suits against the tobacco industry, didn't we? So, yeah. One final point on this. This particular case seemed to go after the loss reserves as a movable lever, albeit maybe the most transparent of the movable levers, in trying to buttress up what AIG could end up having to pay out, or I should say more or less having in surplus before they could write more. But the thing that always has struck me as perhaps the most opaque of the movable levers in an insurer or a reinsurer is the claim reserve fund. And I'm just wondering, is there any standard that you think could be suggested or implemented that would be more uniform than perhaps the hint of, I wouldn't say arbitrariness, but let's just say individualism per company as to how they account for claim reserves?
Well, you know, claim reserves are obviously a place where you can hide profits and manipulate prices even, because claim reserves go into the rate making. And so it's always an area of concern. And interestingly, the claim reserves do seem to be cyclical along with the economic cycle of the insurance industry. In other words, when the insurance industry is making a lot of money, these reserves tend to get redundant even by ISO standards and other standards like that. And other times when the market gets soft, the claim reserves tend to go inadequate. So it clearly is some playing in the reserves, and you can trace it over time. Now, some companies obviously have different corporate cultures than others, and might be more apt to play games with reserve. And I think that's the kind of thing that a good market conduct examination would try to dig into.
Well, very good, Bob. Listen, I know you're busy today, but on behalf of our viewers, I want to thank you for taking time today, and personally, it's good to get in contact with you again. I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you, Frank.
All right, my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.